you're going to do your content. So, oh, that feels better. Hello, everyone. I'm going to start. You know who I am, right? I don't need to introduce myself. Okay, good. So I'm going to start very quickly with this video just to get you like out of the talking mode.
Somos governantes desse planeta. Pelas nossas mãos passam decisões políticas que impactam o crescimento econômico, a inclusão social e a proteção ambiental. Temos a responsabilidade perante a história e perante os nossos povos de fazer da Rio+20 o momento de firmar compromissos para o futuro que queremos. O compromisso com a vida, com o bem-estar das pessoas, com o bem-estar de milhões de homens e mulheres que habitam este planeta. Compromisso que será concretizado com o desenvolvimento sustentável, que se pode traduzir em 3 palavras: crescer, incluir e proteger.
I'll stop here. I know it's very intense. Althea, help me. Get back to the presentation, I don't know. So for me to talk about the Belo Monte Dam, which is just an example, it's just one case. I've been working on it for the past pretty much 6 years. And I want to give you like the big picture, very summarized, because it's a very complex case. And I will be having to talk about the Amazon rainforest, the importance, the indigenous populations, indigenous rights to free, prior and informed consent, and the whole context of Brazil, the economy, and how is this whole scheme of like building dams and big development projects in the Amazon happening behind this wall of corruption financed by the Brazilian National Development Bank. So it's complex. I'll try to summarize and make it easy and breezy and beautiful. Oh, okay. Are you sure? Okay. So this is not the Xingu River. This is actually the Tapajós River, but I like this picture. And it's just to give you an idea about what we are talking about when we talk about the Amazon rainforest and about damming a river. This is the Xingu River. This is how it becomes when they start to build the dam. So it's kind of, this computer is not helpful. No? No.
Because you want to see the...
Can we come? No, because it's cutting the text. Can we go back to this one?
Actually, up here it says...
And it's cutting. So I'm not a big technology person. I had my first computer in 2007. Seriously, guys, I don't even know how to type with all the fingers. So, oh, it's actually cutting here as well. Anyways, well, so Amazon dams lead to massive deforestation. The Belo Monte Dam, it's cutting here, but it's going to cause indirectly about 5,000 square kilometers of deforestation. When we talk about the Tapajós, we talk about 10,000 square kilometers of deforestation. Oh, I'm sorry, 500,000. And we are also, this is the belief that there's a lot of countries that promote dams as clean energy. But the thing is, large dams on the tropics, they are pools of methane. And methane is 25 times more potent than CO2 because you have rotting forests underneath. And thinking that they will remove all the forest to build the dam is just not realistic. So it is, you know, the researchers have estimated that dams and reservoirs are responsible for 4% of all human-caused emissions in the planet. So I know for some of you guys that might be fighting nuclear or wars, this might not seem like a big issue. But I mean, for me, when I talk about the Amazon rainforest and I think about the future of the planet and the future generations, it's a big deal. And so I wanted to give you a very general idea, and I'm going to be skipping to around those pictures very fast. But it's just so you can understand what we're talking about and what is the people that we're talking about. So this is one of the communities on the Xingu territory in the state of Mato Grosso. It's a Waura community. This is on the Tapajós region. Usually those people that I work with, traditionally, they don't wear anything. So I thought about coming in my traditional outfit, which is basically naked, but I think that would not be a good idea. And now they started wearing things because there's so many journalists and the other people coming to their lands because of these meetings, and they feel a little uncomfortable. They survive on the river. They need the river for everything. The river is their road, is where they bathe, where they have fun, where they fish. They swim, they drink the water. So the river is part of basically their life every day for everything. And I'm pretty sure that water for us is also basic for our lives. But the relationship these people have with the river is not a simple relationship. It's a very deep, profound, even spiritual relationship. They have their traditional paintings. They paint themselves when they go to war. In war, I say it's not actually killing anyone, maybe in the past, not anymore. Now they fight with the pen and paper. But it always has a meaning for each one of the groups. And they also paint themselves when they're celebrating. This is one of the tribes where they told us that they haven't been painting themselves much because they're not finding more reasons to celebrate. And there is, you know, this whole relationship between them and nature that is so unique. How they start responsibility so early. It's a very different culture. It's a very different way of life. This is a young warrior. The warriors are responsible for everything, for hunting, fishing, cleaning, cooking, taking care of everyone in the community, at least for the Munduruku people. You also have to understand that we have in Brazil over 250 different indigenous communities with 250 different languages. So we are not talking about the same people everywhere. It is very unique and it's very different in so many ways. So you gotta be able to spend time with them to maybe try to understand how it is. And then, well, she's non-indigenous, but we also, the Belo Monte Dam is being built in a place that is going to affect the city of Altamira, and it's also going to affect indigenous people, fishermen, riverine, traditional populations. She is the daughter of a farmer, and the work camps are right on top of her land. There is a deep connection with the church everywhere in the social movements in the Amazon rainforest. I think for me, it's not as easy to understand, but I do respect that people do trust the church, and the church is very strong in the Amazon in Brazil. I mean, Sister Dorothy Stang, I don't know if you guys know about her, but she was killed. She was assassinated a few years ago because she was fighting for the rights of the forest. And they are actually hardcore activists. So to have this support in name of whatever they try to praise, it's been helpful as well. But also these people have been attacked just like the activists. One of the things that I wanted to highlight is this phrase for me that I was talking to this indigenous person the other day in a meeting, and he was explaining to me why for him it is a humiliation to have to go to all these meetings where the communities are meeting to try to figure it out. Okay, what can we do? But we are talking about places where maybe you're spending 3 days in a boat to get to a meeting. They're very far away places. The Amazon is huge. There's no roads everywhere. And he was explaining to me, I have to leave my family. I have to leave my job to come all the way here to see what I can do to fight for the right to have my way of life secured in my territory. And I feel humiliated by that. So he was basically saying this cannot be considered clean energy. How can people consider this clean energy? They're not even thinking about us here. Before I go into the more specifics about the corporation working there, I hope I have time for this other video. Help. So, I wanted to show you very quickly this video from Elio. He's a fisherman. It's a video made during one day. My husband and I put together this with like a point and shoot camera and no budget whatsoever. But the idea was to be able to tell the voices of the affected people. And this is just simply his voice.
One finger.
Meu nome é Hélio Alves da Silva, sou pescador há 25 anos e sempre eu vivi da pesca. Esse aqui é um dos pontos que eu mais pesquei, né? Eu aprendi a pescar e desde pequeno que eu sempre gostei de estar pescando. Coisa diferente, bem diferente. Meu trabalho que eu gosto de fazer e no final do dia, ou no final qualquer hora do dia, eu estava com meus amigos, que é o que eu mais gostava, né? Ficar assim, do lado dos meus amigos, conversando com eles. Como o tempo muda as coisas, né? E algumas coisas mudaram na minha vida. Hoje, né, assim, me tiraram do rio, me colocaram para mexer com cacau, uma coisa que eu nunca fiz, não sei fazer. E com isso eu estou sofrendo muito, sabe, essa mudança de vida. De pescador para lavrador, para agricultor, coisas assim. E aí a minha vida hoje está sendo muito diferente do que era antes, né? Hoje eu não tenho mais, vamos dizer assim, alegria. Para mim, isso não é viver. Para mim é ver o tempo passar e você ficar. Esse rio para mim foi meu pai, ele foi meu tudo. Mas daqui eu tirei a minha sobrevivência, daqui eu tirei a minha alegria, daqui eu tirei tudo. Daqui eu tirava tudo. Desse rio eu tirava para pagar minhas contas, desse rio eu tirava para mim comida, desse rio eu tirava para mim pagar a farmácia. E desse rio eu tirava para me brincar. Sabe? Eu nunca abusei desse rio. Eu sempre tratei dele com o maior respeito. Assim, igual todo mundo que morava aqui fazia isso. No Xingu tem água limpa, tinha água limpa, água cristalina. Eu digo para vocês que estou mergulhando 11 anos aqui. Tem ouro, tem peixe artesanal e peixe ornamental. Aqui tem peixe nesse rio, que no mundo inteiro só existe nele, que é o carizebra. Não tem outro rio nenhum no planeta. A minha comunidade era a comunidade de Santo Antônio, né? A qual que eu ajudei a construir. Eu morei 32 anos nela e construí minha família. E aí já estava vindo os meus netos, né? E sendo criado por lá. E quando nós começamos ali, só era mato. E quando acabou, ali tinha 60 famílias, tinha igreja evangélica, ali tinha igreja católica, ali tinha colégio, ali tinha campo de futebol. Mas a gente, mesmo assim, sem muitas condições, sem ter dinheiro, mas a gente era feliz. A gente durou tanto tempo para fazer isso e depois, em tão pouco tempo, a gente veio ser destruído. O dia que eu coloquei as minhas coisas em cima de um carro para sair dali, parecia que a minha vida estava acabando ali. O que aconteceu que chegou a Norte Energia, que é considerado por governo um empreendimento muito bom, muito grande. Esse empreendimento acabou com a vida das pessoas que aqui moram, né, que moravam aqui. A gente tinha sonho de ver nossos filhos ter uma vida melhor do que a da gente, né? Mas esse sonho acabou. Acabou porque isso que veio aí veio destruir sonhos de pessoas, todas as pessoas da região aqui. Então, isso, incluindo o meu sonho dos meus amigos, das pessoas que me em volta, isso desceu de água abaixo. E aí eu me senti assim, muito para baixo quando eu vi a minha comunidade acabar. E o que a gente vê hoje é as pessoas reclamando, né, e sem saber aonde pegar, porque não adianta a gente recorrer. Toda porta que você bate, a resposta é essa, infelizmente eu não posso resolver o seu problema. E esse empreendimento que a gente fala, que a gente chama de dragão, está aí, está acabando com tudo, está destruindo a vida das pessoas, destruindo tudo que a gente, todo o nosso sonho, todo o nosso trabalho. Quem manda é o homem da lei. Enquanto que esse homem da lei parece que não tem filho, parece que não tem família, parece que ou essas pessoas que estão no poder, comendo o nosso dinheiro, comendo o nosso suor, para nos matar. O que eu sinto hoje, sabe, é assim, muita amargura, muita tristeza, às vezes raiva. Assim, o futuro pela frente, eu por enquanto não vejo. A única coisa que nós temos a fazer é confiar em Deus e ir à luta. O que foi que eu fiz, né? O que faltou eu fazer? Não, às vezes as pessoas me veem sorrindo, mas é aquele sorriso que eu sempre falo. Ele não vem de dentro, mas... Não tem mais como sorrir assim do coração, não.
I did not mean to make you depressed. Okay. So, whew. Sorry. Oh, damn, I should not show this video anymore. So coming back to reality is, Althea talked about the tripartite struggle. So how is the company connected to the government and then communities? And these communities, they're not only fighting the Brazilian government, they're fighting this collective of companies from Norte Energia. And there's a bunch of companies behind Norte Energia. Norte Energia is the consortium. And this is, I mean, I'm not even going to get into this, but this is just a detail of like how powerful this consortium, when they come to the city, and if the police cars have these stickers with their like names on it. So people have no idea where to go. They want to talk to the city hall, and the city hall says, oh, talk to Norte Energia, and then they go to Norte Energia, and Norte Energia is like, talk to the city hall, and then they go to the city hall, and they're like, talk to the police, and the police sends back to the Norte Energia, and people are confused. They have no place to go. Lots of families were displaced. Not to say majority of the families that were displaced so far, they got zero compensation. Some of them had their houses destroyed while they were at work. They came back. Houses are gone. And they've been fighting in the court for like 4 years, nothing resolved. So we have a big issue, and because it's in the middle of the jungle, nobody cares, nobody sees. It's really hard to tell people about it. And then we have President Dilma when she went to visit Altamira one time in her life. I mean, she was the one responsible back in 2001, when she was Minister of Mines and Energy, to bring this project back to life. And then she made this project the key project of her election campaign. And not to mention that these same companies involved in the construction of the project are the ones that financed up to 70% of the presidential campaigns, and her campaign as well. And one of them, some of you might know, Odebrecht. Odebrecht's president was arrested a few months ago because of the Petrobras scandal. He was 1 month in jail, and I was talking to this journalist from Bloomberg, and I told her that, I was so pissed that nothing was going to be resolved, and she said, do you know he's been peeing in a hole for a whole month in jail? You should be celebrating that, because this is news, this is huge in Brazil. Like, these people would never think that they would be arrested for such a thing. And he made an agreement with the judges and the public prosecutors to have his penalty diminished and tell the truth. And basically, he told that he gave 30 billion, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go back to my notes. Okay, $30 million to Dilma's political party, PT, the Workers' Party, and to another party, PMDB, to be able to build Belo Monte. And it is so interesting because he gives money to the political parties to build this project, but then he gets money from the Brazilian National Development Bank to build the project, which is the money from the government. It's really weird and complicated corruption scandal to think about. And then there's the national force sitting there on this project that apparently is from corporations. And they take care of the work camps. Nobody's allowed there. No journalist, no lawyer, nobody, only the workers. Every time there is an occupation, they're there to take care of the peace of the place. But we have a movement that is really strong. And we have a movement that also just, since forever, they know without any training that peaceful protests are the best ones. So they've always worked with nonviolent action, but we had moments where, people get pissed off. This was one of the mobilizations in Brasilia. We had 2,000 people. The police attacked. I was right in front, so I saw it. I was filming it. It's in YouTube. The police attacked everyone that was dancing with pepper spray, and then some indigenous got really pissed, wanted to attack them, and this elder group from the Kayapó came in front and saying, no, we are here in peace. Like, nobody's attacking anyone. And this is, for me, a really strong photo just to show, like, how powerful these people are. But we have some things on our side, too. These companies, they have very little knowledge of the local context, and they are afraid of indigenous people. It's kind of funny. This was in front of the National Development Bank. Of course, that guy, the indigenous guy, was not going to do anything, but like just for the fun of it and the sake of it, he was running towards the guy. But I wanted to just highlight this action has created very real costs for the companies. Because, you know, people come to me and they're like, okay, you've been protesting against the Belo Monte Dam for 6 years and you did not stop the Belo Monte Dam. No, we did not. But our protest cost them over $1 billion. Every time, every day we occupied was nearly $1.4 million. So for us, that was the only way we could say, okay, you're not gonna stop this, but this is we're gonna make your life a living hell until you start thinking this through. And the thing is, some of these tactics worked on our favor, some didn't, because they're also learning the lessons and doing much different now on the Tapajós region. So what happened, I wanna go back and forth here. The first gathering of indigenous people on Xingu was in 1989. This is Tuira and the president of Eletronorte, at that time was Eletronorte. This is one tactic that they use. They keep changing names, so people get confused on the ground. They don't know who is who. Sting, I don't know if you guys know him, the singer, famous. He was there. The World Bank was financing this project back then. And we were able to stop it. I mean, indigenous people were able to stop it with Sting and all this like national fuss, international fuss, because it was financed by the World Bank. Then the Brazilian government put this project on a little basket, reshaped it, renamed it, and brought back to life with President Dilma, calling it the Belo Monte Dam. And one of the things that I was going to say is there are suppliers that are international suppliers, especially in France. We have Alstom, we have GDF Suez. Those are much easier to target. But the ones in Brazil, honestly, it's really hard because they're so backed up by the government. Every time we could possibly gain something, the Brazilian government comes and back them up. So it's really hard to target them. So then the first protests, I mean, I made a list, and I'm gonna, it's time. I made a list, and I'm gonna go through them very quickly because I wanna give time for you guys to debrief and talk, etc. So I'm not a Greenpeace fan. That was the first and only protest they participated on this. They left because they said, well, this campaign is not possible to win. And the policy of our organization is that if we can't win, we're not fighting it. So, but this was a good one, so that's why I have the picture. Belo Monte in Portuguese means a big mountain. Or Monte can also mean a bunch. So they're basically saying a bunch mountain of shit. And they put shit in front of the National Development Bank. That was when horse shit, cow shit. That was when the first license was issued. Then we had in 2011, James Cameron came, and Sigona River came, Arnold Schwarzenegger came. They made this huge splash on the media. James Cameron made a video about it, Message from Pandora. He sold the video inside the Avatar movie, etc. That did not work for us. That was bad. That was like, that was wrong tactics. The people on the ground are like, we don't care about this gringo, let's not share this movie. So there is a line that is very fine that we need to be careful, but also, I mean, he donated $1 million to the movement. And that was awesome because people were able to do the work. But at the time, I think we didn't really know better that Brazilians are so national about the Amazon. They don't really care about whoever gringo is talking about it. So we learned our lesson, and then I wanted to highlight this because this was a huge moment. In 2011, so I was one of the lawyers who worked in this case and took the case to the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights. They granted the precautionary measures request, saying yes, they need to consult indigenous people. So we had a meeting called by them with the Brazilian government, and the Brazilian government did not show up. So we called a press conference. It was a small, something that we did, but it became huge. And then we were called, and this is like, I can tell this now because it's been a while, but I could not tell this for the people at that time. We were called inside the commission, and the commissioner told us, please do not call press conference. This is not helping. And for the first time in history of the commission, they changed their decision. And I had to sit in a room full of lawyers all over the Americas saying, well, this has been the worst government so far since dictatorship times for Brazil. We have to be very strategic right now. We cannot weaken the commission. So let's not take any case that talks about indigenous consultation, nor dams or big development projects to the commission for a couple of years. That for me is like non-acceptable. But we could do nothing. We could not do any more press releases, talk about it, because the Brazilian government worked so hard to pressure the commission. We're going to take all of the money out of it, etc. So there's like a lot of dirty business behind this.
Can you explain it better? Because I think it's an important part. We can relate to it, but I didn't get. Maybe there are a few circles. Who was the commission government? This relational thing, it's meaningful,
So
but I
we
didn't
have,
get.
I mean, yeah, I don't think I have time to go deep into this, but the Inter-American Commission of Human Rights, they set rules that countries that are signatory of it, they're not obligated, I cannot say obligated, right? Obligated to follow. Those are recommendations. They're not obligated to follow. And the commission only survives because a lot of countries, like Brazil, they give money to the commission so the commission can exist. What happened is Brazil said, well, I'm going to take all of the money, I give it to you if you stop, if you keep telling me what to do. And Brazil money was a big part of like the commission. So that was one way of the Brazilian government to retaliate the commission. And what they did was like really try to stay low-key on that case. That's why they changed the decision. Because the idea of all the lawyers and everybody else in the commission was, okay, we don't want the commission to be extinct. But this is serious. And I think that something like a further discussion is how could we do in the future for the commission to really have the power to not just give recommendations, but like to rule and say, this is what you have to do, period, without this influence from other countries. So okay, we had a couple of protests. Belo Monte Not With My Money was really not a huge one, but it became huge because we were targeting banks and we were able to get a response from few banks with using Twitter accounts, etc. I was involved in all of this. Then we learned our lesson. We got a bunch of Brazilian celebrities together. They did a movie. It was a huge splash. It created a tsunami. We went at a wave. They created a tsunami, and it crashed in our heads because we did not know what to do with it. We did not expect it would be such a success. They gathered 1 million signatures in less than a week. We were planning like 100,000 signatures for a month. And then the website crashed and everybody went crazy. And of course, the media attacked all the celebrities. And we did not have the resources nor the people to respond back and to use that in our side. But in the good side of it, we were able to actually take this to the people's mouth because the government's strategy was to stay quiet about it. Nobody knew about Belo Monte Dam. What is this, like, dam you're talking about? And for the first time, we were able to take this issue towards people and put it in people's houses, and they were like, oh, okay, there's this dam. Well, but we need energy, of course. We did not gain the sympathy of everyone. And this was during a hearing because one of the things that this dam brought was a number of sexual abuse, trafficking, human trafficking, child abuse, sex slavery, etc., etc. There's a whole study about it. I mean, child abuse raised 159% in the first 3 months of the construction of the dam. And that is due to the fact that they put 40,000 workers locked in this place in the middle of nowhere. When they have time, they go to the city. We have an issue. And those are all men. So it is a very complicated scenario that repeats itself over and over. This is one camp that happened, the Fishermen Resistance Camp, that happened for 30 days. I was there with them, and it led up to an occupation. There was many occupations over time, and I'm just highlighting the most significant ones. This was significant because it was the first time and the only time we actually were able to manage to get the company to come to the occupation to negotiate and do the meeting. The tactics they had was always to drag people outside of the work camp so the work camp can work, and then they can say whatever they want in closed rooms. This time, because I was there with them and it was really stressful. People were camping for over 30 days. They're hungry. There's no water. There's no food. There's a lot of pressure from the police. So I had to be like talking from one to one. Okay, calm down. Don't do anything wrong. We're good. Everything's going to be okay. And then I went back to the city and I talked to the judge and I said, look, if you tell the police to remove these people using force, there's going to be people dying. There are kids there, there are mothers and elders. And he was telling me like, well, you have to talk to them. I'm not in power. I'm just giving a message. So finally, the judge was convinced. He made these people go back there. We had a meeting there, an official meeting, that later became a lawsuit against the company because, of course, they did not comply with the agreements one more time. And this was the most significant protest I participated in, where people occupied the cofferdam, which is like a wall they built to block the river. They digged a channel in the middle of the cofferdam. This is like here, to let the river run free. We rode Padre Belo Monte. It was right before Rio Plus 20, powerful, beautiful, emotional. And then we went to Rio Plus 20 and we rallied 1,500 people to do this human banner, which is calling Rivers for Life. And there is an indigenous reaching the sun. And then we did an online action. Everything happened in 2012. Was the best year. Calling for justice now. And I just used this photo because we got over 300 photos all over the world of people supporting this cause. And this is Charles Lyons. He's one of the reporters for New York Times. And so we got indigenous people all over the world. We got reporters, journalists, people that were supporting the cause. It didn't really matter. And we also used some sort of like fun, creative stuff for doing protests, calling for justice now. And when we had no money whatsoever anymore, we used social media. And I love this picture because it's an old picture. It's from 2012. And it's basically saying, me as a woman am ashamed to have President Dilma as a president. And this photo got picked up by some random crazy people on Facebook. And it got over like 30,000 shares. And I don't even know how, like 50,000 comments and likes. So it was also a way of us doing something without a lot of money and trying to be creative. And so towards the end, we have the Munduruku people, and I'm not going to go into that, but it's important to know that these people that I'm seeing the Munduruku, it's because there's this huge new battle called Tapajós. And the Tapajós is the last river that has no dams yet that runs into the Amazonian River. And these people came all the way from Tapajós to Xingu because they realized, okay, if we don't come together as people in this planet to stop dams in the Amazon, the next river is going to be ours. So that is a whole new level of things. This is Chief Hauni back in 2014 with, okay, I don't know what happened here, Althea. And I actually only had 2 pictures anyways. So Chief Hauni during this protest right prior to the World Cup, where we were attacked also again by the police with like all this tear gas bomb, blah, blah, blah. And people were just marching peacefully. But I can't complain, you know, in the end of the day, I think Brazil still is not a country that goes like massively killing people on the streets. So we have some good things on our side. And I think that the most complicated thing that I would say right now is, oh, I think it's not.
That's the annual.
That's the last.
It was not. Oh, shoot. No, but that's fine. That's fine. So, well, he's great. And it is important to I don't even know what I was talking about. Anyways.
Brazil is not a country that does a lot of...
Yes, but I think that also in terms of corruption, we need to figure this out. Because we are talking about the Amazon rainforest, and I just wanted to give you a notion of what the Amazon forest is. So 4%, indigenous people all over the world, they represent more or less 4% of the world's population. But they are gatekeepers of 86% of the world's biodiversity. So protecting indigenous lives, indigenous territories, it is keen to protect the forest. And we need the forest so we can have actually fresh air, breathe, and have some water. And so this is the Tapajós again. They're like carrying stones to build this banner called Free Tapajós all together, again in Brasilia for the movement. And this is just for fun. Nothing against her, but everything against her. So thank you so much. I just hope that this can inspire you a little bit so you can do fun things in our country too. I have worked in this campaign for the past 4 years with almost zero budget. And I don't even know how I actually made it. Because every time I look back, I'm like, oh, we've done a lot. I don't know how that happened. And if you have like more questions, you want more videos, etc., I can send after we have like 3 minutes for questions.